It's the big thing. Everyone wants to make some money.
At the start, it was £200 that you put into this scheme.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's applying for tens of thousands of pounds of loans in your name.
Yeah. All my money was gone. My husband didn't know.
Today, we're joined by somebody who knows just how dangerous they are.
Lisa, whose identity we're protecting, invested in a scheme on social media which she believed was backed by our very own Martin Lewis. But things quickly spiralled, and before she knew it, scammers had stolen £40,000 from her account.
It's just terrifying. Scared and too embarrassed to tell her friends and family, Lisa reached out to Trading Standards, where she was helped by scams officer Janet Quinn. Janet's here alongside Lisa today to share this shocking story. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Hello.
Lisa, these scams have terrified me and my colleagues next door at Good Morning Britain for a very long time, because for a long time, our pictures have been used alongside this sort of advert about us doing a mocked-up interview on the set. It all looks really, really sophisticated, looks like it actually happened, and people will click on the link and then you're in and you're away. It's exactly what happened with you.
Exactly what happened to me.
What was it, Lisa, initially that drew you into the idea of what it was offering?
Well, I'd been looking at Bitcoin. I thought, this looks interesting. And then saw Martin Lewis advert. I follow the money saving expert, and I was just kind of assumed if he thought it was a good idea, then let's click the link and see what happens.
Now, you follow Martin, and Martin's always been very, very sort of clear and adamant that he doesn't advertise these things or these things as scams.
Yeah.
And amongst all of that...
Which I know now.
You know now, but of course in that moment, you didn't know.
No.
So talk us through what happened once you clicked on and what that process became.
So I received an email quite quickly from someone saying they were from a trading company. Could we arrange a time to talk? So I thought, yeah. Because I'd initiated it, I thought, well, I need to talk to him.
Yeah,
I've initiated it, you know. So I spoke to him. He was very, very charming. And he said, right, well, what we need to do is we need to open up a banking app, and we need to do this, we need to do that. And an app to access my phone, which I refused initially.
Because you've heard that you shouldn't hand over control of these things.
Yeah, but he spoke to me every single day, which I now know he was grooming me. And he persuaded me, because I didn't have the time to be to trading every day, he persuaded me to download this app, and which then gave him access to my phone.
And essentially, this was a man called Carlos who started off being incredibly charming.
Yes.
And kind of winning you in and luring you in with this charm. And then he almost turned a little bit as well and almost became a bully, became much more aggressive. What happened?
So he set up an account and applied for possibly 11 loans using false details about me.
Because you'd given him access to this app, and that meant that he could try and do that?
Yeah, so he'd set up...
a profile or something?
The credit reference.
Right, okay. Yeah.
And he'd applied for 11 loans
So
using
how much
my
money?
details.
Tens of thousands?
Well, so I thought it was 70,000. It was actually 55,000.
£55,000.
And I also was then receiving letters through the post saying, thank you for your application, but on this occasion, we're not going to give you a loan. So that was another 40,000, 50,000 maybe, you know. So fortunately, they said no.
So it was initially, wasn't it, right at the start, it was £200 that you put into this scheme.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's applying for tens of thousands of pounds of loans
Yeah.
in your name.
Yeah.
So what did you say to him when you saw this stuff coming in?
Well, I said, I don't want to do this. You know, I can't afford loans. I can't. And he's like, what are you worrying about? You know, you've got all this money in your account balance just from the £200 you invested. You know, think what you can do with all this money. And I'm like, but I don't want to take out any loans. But I presumed that I'd have to sign a credit agreement or
something.
But nothing. The money just appeared in my account. And because it was in my account, he told me that they'd all be paid off. I had 100,000 by this point in my trading account.
Oh my days.
They'd all be paid off. Just transfer the money to the banking app and it would sit there if we needed it, and I did.
You did that, and that was when they got hold of it.
He kind of helped do it.
Of course.
Right.
Through the app.
And what did your husband have to say about all this?
My husband didn't know.
Didn't know anything about it. He actually thought you were even having an affair because there was so much going on.
Because I was hiding my phone calls with him, yeah.
Lisa, why did you not want to share it with your husband?
Because initially investing the £200, that was okay. We'd actually said, well, what's the worst that can happen? We'll lose £200. Mm-hmm. When it became, £55,200, it then became a problem, and I didn't want him to see that I had all this money in my account balance, and I didn't want him to keep quizzing me, so I just played it down a bit. So whenever I was talking to this guy, as soon as my husband came in, I was like, got to go. And I'd be like cutting the phone off.
So it sounds even more suspicious, so you can understand what his concern was. So what happened? How did you eventually come clean and start sharing the situation you were in?
So once the trading account was gone, all my money was gone, and I was then trying to pay all these loans. I was actually using savings to make the payments because I didn't know what I was dealing with until the payments came out of my account.
Yeah.
It was eating me away, and I just said to my husband one day, we need to talk. And he's like, what have you done? And I told him, and he has been so supportive.
Of course.
Bless him.
And when did you then get Janet involved?
So when all the trading crashed and everything else, I contacted the Citizens Advice Bureau, who put me in touch with Trading Standards. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, without them, I don't know what would have happened.
Oh, Janet, this is the sort of thing. I don't know if anyone's watched, we had this conversation, The Beekeeper, which is a brand new film with Jason Statham, which is exactly this. It's this story. We just needed Jason Statham to go and find Carlos.
Every lady needs a Jason Statham.
But it is. It's the scammer that gets control of somebody's money and then cleans out their accounts. Bitcoin has just shot up again. So you know that that's going to engage people's interest. We're all intrigued by cryptocurrency. How much of this are you seeing, Janet?
Unfortunately, a lot. Lisa's story is such an awful story. Every time I hear it, it just makes me so sad because it's such a personal story. This has ruined her life. Mm-hmm. But we're seeing it a lot. Every month when we get complaints, there's always cryptocurrency up there because it's the big thing. Everyone wants to make some money.
Mm-hmm. So what would be your advice? How can people protect themselves? Obviously, yes, and times are very tricky at the moment, so everybody does want to make the most of their money, but we need certain things in place to protect ourselves. So what would be your advice?
Absolutely. I mean, I could talk all day about this, but I think the key things are always do your own research. So be really wary if you're approached by somebody else, by a cold call on the phone, a text message with a link to click on, a pop-up on your computer, anything on social media, which is what Lisa saw. Just be really, really wary. If you want to invest, do your own research, really think about it. I think always, as well, be prepared to lose what you're investing. Right. So keep it small amounts.
Well, the £200 was enough. You felt like that was worth taking the risk with.
That's what lured Lisa in. But it just gets out of hand and out of control so quickly.
And it's so easily done as well. That's the thing, more than anything. And I think then you get involved and then you feel silly and it just continues and it spirals out of control.
Absolutely, like anything, then it's harder to get out of.
Yep.
And the important message I want to get across here is that Lisa was groomed. He phoned her every single day. It's the same. You do so much on this show about scams, which is great because it's really important to get the message out there. And Lisa's so brave today in sharing her story to try and help others because that's what they do. They're grooming you just like romance scammers. Yeah.
Talking of messages, I know that Martin's given us a message to share as well because this is such an important thing for him. He's so well trusted and he hates the idea of people like Lisa being duped by these things. This is what Martin says.
I don't do adverts. I don't do adverts. I don't do adverts. Any advert you see with me in is a scam.
I get 5 messages a day from people asking me, are they real?
If someone is advertising something with me in it, it is a lie.
I don't do adverts.
And if someone is talking about an investment and saying I said it's a good investment, they are thieves, criminals trying to steal your money. Do not go near them.
He's our version of Jason Statham,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Doesn't have as many weapons,
No.
like actual explosive ones. I know, at least you're smiling while you're seeing Martin say that, because it all rings true now, of course, doesn't
Yeah.
it? What would you say to anybody at home who's looked at some of these things as intrigued? Because I think your daughter said, oh, Mum, we're thinking about investing in some cryptocurrency.
If it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Well, look, thank you so much for, as Janet says, being brave enough to come and share your story. Unquestionably, it's going to help some people, but it's really, really important that we all remember that message, particularly from Martin. If you see anything mocked up with us here in this studio, suggesting that we are supporting any sort of cryptocurrency, get-rich-quick trading scheme, it is a scam.
We
It's not
can't
real.
even say it,
No, we
let
can't
alone
say
promote it.
I'm just so worried. It's just so awful. I'm so sorry
It's
that you've been
awful.
through it.
Thank you.
But thank you very much for coming in and sharing. And thanks, Janet.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Janet.